Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for clicking on the video. Today I'm going to be telling you about a story about when I used to steal bikes as a kid. This kind of happened in my hometown, so I'm not really going to give you a grade reference for time, because honestly I don't remember what grade I was in. This is like an era, honestly. An era all in its own. I want to guess I was like 12, 13, mad young. I was friends with these kids who had moved into my town semi-recently, not really. And they were kind of rough around the edges, you know what I mean? Like, you really had to be careful of being around these kids. Like, they were kind of cool, but also not really. They were kind of assholes and scumbags, but so was I, you know what I mean? I was one of the same, so we got along great. They would teach me how to fight and shit, and just how to steal, especially how to steal bikes, which, you know, this is what we're talking about. It took me a while to warm up to the idea of stealing bikes, you know. I was kind of a good kid for a minute, you know, my mom raised me right, but I was corrupted by these two for a fat while. Like, they would just, basically, they would take me on runs, I would be their muscle, like, they would go and try to cop bikes at this local playground that we lived close to. It didn't really get a lot of traction. It would have a couple kids there, here and there. Sometimes there'd be parents watching them, most of the time there wouldn't be, so this was, shit like this happened. If these kids didn't exist, along with me, this neighborhood would be fine. There would be nothing wrong with the neighborhood, but we were the menaces for a while. I guess I'll just go into how they would go about stealing bikes before I tell you about the first run I ever did. So basically, these kids would cop these. First of all, they would go to the playground, right? They would search it out. They'd see how many kids are there. Okay, there's like a couple kids. They'd see if they outnumber them, which is kind of fucked up. Even if they didn't outnumber them, they didn't really give a fuck. It was just more of like a logistics thing. And these kids were kind of smart with it, right? They'd walk around. They'd like just make pretend like, oh, you know, we're about to go down the slide or something, or we're fucking talking, blah blah blah, you know, having a good time. Meanwhile, they would just, you know, try to go towards the bikes and see if the kids will look over. If the kids will look over, they'd kind of go away, you know, just kind of back and forth, being little scumbags, you know, being little fucking reckless kids trying to get a cop. As they would like get these bikes, as soon as they get a bike, they would just start pedaling off. They would run up, grab it, and just bolt. They wouldn't say anything. They just look at each other, make sure everyone was on the same page, and they would just dip. I would always run behind them just to make sure that fucking nobody came up behind them, and also I think they were just trying to leave me in the dust so I could take the blame, which was fucked up. I was an idiot kid, but I fell for it. So anyway, after a couple days of, you know, doing this with them, you know, being the muscle, we would get a bike here and there. Some days we wouldn't get shit because no one would be there, and we'd just sit there all day waiting for somebody because we had nothing else to do. And other days we'd get like 2 or 3, well, mostly 2. There would never be a third one because I would never grab it. I don't know, I'd make up some bullshit excuse as to why I didn't grab it. They would get mad as fuck at me, dude. They'd get so pressed. Until this one day. After a couple of runs of doing that, there was one day where yours truly was going to leave with a bike. A very nice bike. A nice little green Huffy. I remember it like it was yesterday, dude. I still remember how bad the brakes were on that bitch. But hey, I was happy. That was a fucking bike that pedaled. And back in the day, half of us had bikes that we had to drag our foot on the ground to get started. It was that fucking bad, dude. We were on some Fred Flintstone shit. I'm not kidding you. So I'm just gonna start from the beginning here. Well, we pull up to the park, right? Like every other day, you know. That day when I was gonna steal a bike, you know, there wasn't really a lot of options. There was a couple bikes, mostly girly bikes, which these kids, you know, they didn't want the girly bike, bro. They're men. They want to be men. They want the manly bikes. They want the Huffies and the fucking, I don't even know what else they had back in the day. The little dirt bike looking things that weren't actually dirt bikes. So they'd cop those. Sometimes if the pickings were really slim, they would take girly bikes, but for some reason, you know, they didn't take the little girly bike, dude. And honestly, I kind of would have copped that one, because why not? Like, fucking paint kind of looks mad rad if you just like take some shit off it and fix it up like these kids would. I set my eyes on this green Huffy, and I'm just like, I get this weird feeling of courage in myself. I'm like, dude, you know what? I'm getting this fucking Huffy. There's some kids off in the distance. They're off playing on the swing sets and just talking and shit. Like, fucking not even paying attention. We're kind of close to these kids, too. Like, it's obvious that it might be their bikes, but we're not sure. So we're just like, fuck it. We're doing the dance, right? I'm doing the dance, really. These kids are laying back, kind of, just being my muscle. And I'm just like, okay, well, fuck. I'm just gonna, like, you know, go over here. You know, I kind of look over them. I probably look sketchy as hell, dude. I was staring them down, look at them, like, fucking, you know, are they gonna see me? Oh my god, are they gonna see me? My hands are sweaty as fuck. I kind of just, you know, touch the bike a little bit, kind of bend it towards me to look at the rims and shit. I look over to see if they're looking at me. They aren't looking at me. I hop on that bitch, and I get the fuck out, and we just start bolting, dude. I swear to God. And I didn't hear anybody say, you know, hey, stop, you know, my bike, oh my fucking god, like, what the hell? Like, no, nothing. We were golden. I was like, holy shit, this is insane. And I just start pedaling, and I'm pedaling, and I'm pedaling. And luckily, you know, after a block or so, like, there's basically coming from the park, you know, it goes straight into the neighborhood, so you can get lost pretty quick and lose people. So that's pretty much what we did. Nobody came after us. I got the bike back to my friend's house. You know, basically we set it up there. Once I set it at their house, this is when things got bad. right? So, like I said before, these kids were kind of scumbags. So if they could jip me out of something, they would. And for some reason, usually I'd fold because I was a little pussy, right? I wasn't gonna fucking fight these kids. But for some reason, you know, today was not the day I folded. You know, I pretend folded this day, right? You know, I was gonna get my bike. You know, they're saying, hey, you know, we gotta do some fucking work on it, blah, blah, blah. Like, we gotta make it look different. You know, their whole usual thing, which I was kind of buying, but also, like, sketched out because, you know, it's my fucking bike. I want to paint it, bro. Like, what the hell? They're like, no, you don't know how to paint it right. You're gonna fuck it up. Like, trust us. Like, we'll do it for you. Like, blah, blah, blah. We'll get it all nice. I'm like, whatever, bro. Like, fucking just don't fuck it up too badly. Like, I really want this bike to work. And they're like, facts, bro. Like, we got it. No problem. So I'm like, okay. These guys are gonna fix up my bike. I'm cool with it. I wait a couple days, you know, we hang out. I'm like, you know, how's the bike doing? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, yeah, the bike's good. You know, we're just gonna, we just, you know, the chain keeps popping. You know, we can't fucking get it to get fixed. I'm like, oh, like, here, I can fix a chain. I'm like, I've done it in front of you a million times. Let me go see what's wrong with this chain. They're like, oh, yeah, but it's underneath my dad's bike. Well, they would just make a million fucking excuses about how I can't get at this bike and look at it and see what the fuck's wrong. I was just like, whatever, dude. Like, we'll just hang out. I'll be bikeless and we'll just do some shit. And after a while, you know, these kids had to go home and eat, and I had to go home and eat, and I started plotting. I'm like, dude, it's been a week. These fucking kids haven't given me my bike back. I stole that bike, and I'm gonna steal it fucking again, dude. I don't give a shit. Their parents were involved in some crazy ass shit. I don't care if I die, dude. I want this bike. So I waited a little bit, right? I didn't want to wait until night because I didn't want these guys to fucking see me, like, in the dark and think I'm actually robbing them and shoot me. Like, if they see me, like, whatever, that's one thing. If they shoot me, that's another. So I'm like, fuck it, you know, I'm just gonna do it. So it's like dusk, right? It's like around 7:38. I remember it was kind of towards, like, it wasn't towards fall, but it was like summer, like just the transition of summer where it starts to get a tiny bit chilly, right? Like just a tiny bit, a tad, if you will. And it, you know, I can feel, despite it being chilly, I can feel how warm my hands are, dude. Like literally, like whenever I get nervous, my hands sweat like a motherfucker, and I don't think my hands have ever sweat as much as they did in this moment. I was walking up the street. I live on the same fucking street as these kids, dude. I'm not even shitting you. I had the balls to do this. I look and I see out in the fucking front yard, like it was Christmas, bro. The bike is all laid out. They had a couple tools around it, but it looked like everything was literally on it. It looked like they just got done working on it and it had like gone back inside for whatever fuck all reason, right? I'm like, fuck, dude, like, are you serious? Like, there's no way they're this fucking stupid. Like, okay, like, I'm about to get this fucking bike. And I kind of look in their windows and I see, you know, the living room light is on, which is, like, kind of close to the fucking outside of the house and shit. Like, they can kind of just look over their right shoulder, look out the window and see my ass stealing. I didn't give a fuck. I was a little gremlin. I'm gonna get my bike. I fucking run up there, and just like before, I grab the fucking bike, I get on it, and I pedal. That chain's kind of popping, you know, it's giving me some bullshit. I'm fucking swearing on my breath, like, I'm trying to, like, just get this thing fucking moving, man. I'm getting this thing moving, but it's not wanting to move. And I'm just pedaling, and the chain's popping, and it's skipping, and it's somehow not popping the fuck off. And I get it all the way back to my house, and I just get it home, I throw it in my garage, I slam the door to my garage, lock it, I go in my house, lock the door, go in my room, shut off the lights, and I just go to fuck asleep. And that was pretty much the end of it for that day, man. There's another story that comes into conjunction with this, but that deserves a whole other video. Thank you so much for clicking on the video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Peace out.